Oh man, I should have finished those deep fried chicken wings from last night. I'm starving. Oh man, I should have finished those deep fried chicken wings from last night. I'm starving.
Agora আমি পাবো মাইতেছি team, really just trying to get placements, but with 11 teams still in the lobby, it's going to be quite difficult to get those placement points unless something happens. Like, you either have to hope that someone starts going on a killing spree, or you're going to have to take your fate into your own hands and start looking for those points yourselves. They're going to run into Argon MY, but the thing is, Argon have been looking pretty good today, so this is not a free kill. Own hands and start looking for those points yourselves. They're going to run into Argon MY, but the thing is, Argon have been looking pretty good today, so this
best finishes, they do put up a good fight. I think they've gotten intel on where WAG is at. I think if you compare the two Malaysian teams in this lobby, the one thing that separates both Aurora and Argon is how Aurora manages these kind of rotations. Argon, still a bit to be desired, but they sure as hell will put out resistance if needed. And WAG are being very cautious in how they want to take this fight.
Yeah, they're really taking it slow. Fies, though, looks like he has been caught out by Nana and Tikoi as they both rush in to try and take out Fies. Now, unfortunately for Fies, he had been completely split off from his team, which quite surprised that he decided to go for the split. I guess he just couldn't meet up with the team. So that's going to leave them with 3 players. And actually, you can see themselves launching themselves away. They want to get away from WAG as quick as possible. So yeah, Argon MY looking to play the safer game, and sadly for WAG, because they're not pursuing, they're not going to be able to grab any more elimination points. So back to looting, I suppose. No, more looting, less shooting.
Yeah, Argon actually got very lucky because PLS1 didn't see one of the players launching himself away on the corner of his screen. He probably didn't pay enough attention because he was sort of at a blind spot. Because I think if he spotted their rotation, they would have decided to go after the rest of Argon and Y. So, blessing in disguise for the Malaysians. And for Secret WAG, they get to basically slow the game down again and gather some resources. Contrary to the previous 2 games, WAG extremely slow now and switching to a more tactical approach, which I think suits the composition, the team comp that they have a lot more.
Things are really slowed down, Husky. We're still at 11 teams, 10 minutes into this game. So we still have a lot more bodies to farm. We still have big team fights to run into. That third circle has been decided. And we'll see if Falcons are able to get something from this particular round. This is currently our last place team in today's games. Currently sitting on only 5 points across 2 matches. So Falcons really looking to get anything if possible. Now the thing is, they are in a pretty good spot if they're able to somehow find some kind of momentum to grab a lot of points. The thing is though, they need to find it somehow before some of these other teams that have been going all in with the kill points takes it away from them. Now the thing is, because Falcons expose themselves to trying to shoot down at the heavy, that I believe Twisted Minds snipped them out as well. So I hope they have their backs covered, because I do suspect Falcons will be running into a bit of a skirmish sometime soon. WAG, though, in the meantime, are going to be flushed out by Aurora, and they are having to go back into that blue zone. They do have a vehicle at least to be able to relocate, but they're going to have to blow through a couple of those health kits and also find another way into the safe zone, which it looks like they might have found a way through. Yeah, an unguarded corner here in that third circle.
Went into Bloomtown. They will be safe for a while, but can't say the same for Flash. We just got while getting ran to by AG. RQ, on the other hand, also doing the same thing. In fact, Flash just ran into a death zone, unfortunately pinned up by 2 powerhouses. So no luck in game 3, eliminated in even 11th place, but might end up bringing 2 teams to face up against each other very soon as BRU exterminates WAG off screen. Twisted Minds against Falcons, about to happen soon.
These are both of our bottom performing teams as well. So this is really not a situation these 2 teams want to encounter at all, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Somebody's got to go down. And it's going to be a question of, is it going to be Twisted Minds or is it going to be Falcons? Now, we do see on the other end, we have Argon MY floating in as well. They're probably going to catch wind of this too. So wouldn't be surprised if they maybe decide to stick their nose into this business too, which leaves Falcons sandwiched between 2 teams, Husky.
And RQ, on the other hand,
Bigatron!
Insane stuff! AG and RQ working together hand in hand. VTR still has someone left up. C-Bang is basically prone. The UAV being sent in, and now RQ being distracted by Barros from AG.
Oh,
Falcons out again in a nice spot.
Whew.
If BTR really made it out of this though, in fact he does, he's out of there.
Out of there somehow. Crazy business, but for how long we'll find out. Looks at Twisted Minds though to get backstabbed, and that's going to be it for them as Argon MY came in, sweep them all up, and are now sitting at 8 eliminations. So the Malaysians are farming the lobby today, especially on Solara. Switching it over to Buran's point of view, fighting into Heavy. It looks like both teams kind of juking and jiving around this compound, but Heavy playing on the outside at the moment. That blue zone is slowly creeping in, and at this point someone's got to move. They've got to make the call. Do they decide to go into the compound, or can they just play around that corner? Blue wall melt is going to be used. Katuan did try to go for the jump, but unfortunately the block from that glue wall from Buram is going to buy them time, and this leaves Heavy out in the open. They're being forced into the circle, but they don't have anything aside from glue walls to protect them.
They're trying to create a zone that BRU will have to pass through if they want to engage in direct combat. The glue wall melters is going to make it slightly harder, but the reinforced glue walls will take longer to go down. BRU now dumping all of their utilities out in the open, but in front of them it's going to be Aurora Gaming again, finding themselves in a good position. BTR has something to say about that. Aurora has been getting away with a lot of these encounters just with better strategic rotation, but RRQ right in the thick of it to try and deal with Aurora themselves.
There's only 2 of them though. It's just Duts and Abe. The rest of the team is done and dusted, Husky. They've been bringing in the monster trucks as well. So, I mean, if Duts and Abe can do it, that would be a miracle in itself. On the other side though, we have Argon MY being hit by 2 teams. Unfortunate for them as they get eliminated from the round, leaving us with our top 5 teams here, Husky. 15 players still alive. Looks like Buram looking to push into Aurora here using glue wall melters, everything that they can use. Hiding behind the hedge for now. They do have a little bit of cover, but Aurora, they're able to take down some of the Buram players, but Get High tried to go in. Unsuccessful. Wasana in the blue zone, but gets gunned down from the other side. Heavy helping out Aurora.
And you were asking if the teams have met my expectations, and I said Heavy. I want to see more from Heavy.
They're doing it.
Yeah, definitely doing it. 10 eliminations already. Fasa getting the latest one. Moshi actually steals that one away and even finds Zeus in the process. Every time it might be the end of Aurora Gaming if they don't get rid of Moshi. And Heavy is the biggest winner right now with that high ground. But it might change it a bit. They are forced to rotate with the circle moving far away.
We do have a bit of an awkward end game here. We do have very, very fractured teams. It's only really Heavy that's still sitting with a full roster. So it's going to be 1 from AG, 2 for RRQ going up against a full Heavy lineup. Now, does AG and RRQ team up to take out Heavy, or are they going to tag team against each other? It looks like Pordu is going to be jumped on by Dutz and Alan. Alan, though, does hit the ground, unfortunately. Mufasa is there to pick him up. We still see Du, I guess he got taken out on the sideline. So, Bandits, if you can pull out a miracle here somehow, and 2 versus 4, that would be huge. But can they even do it, Husky?
It's gonna be a tall order. Unless Abai can somehow isolate these fights. He needs to be able to win 1v1s, but Heavy is never gonna give him those 1v1s.
No,
Fasa finds the
not
finisher,
even a knock.
and Dut, he knows his time is about to come. And there it is, Heavy finding their booyah.
I think if I saw the numbers correctly, they may have ended with about 11-12 eliminations to the name. So really heavy kill score there for Heavy. They're going to pick up a lot of elimination points. They get the booyah points as well. So at minimum, we're looking at about, I want to say 23, 24 points. And coming into this round as well, Heavy was in 9th place with 15 points. So this is going to be a huge placement boost for Heavy. Will it get them into top 3? Probably not, but definitely at least closing that gap and putting them somewhere within that 4th to 5th placement range.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for Heavy, if this is a good way to kickstart the engine, and it might be enough to bring them to top 2 at the end of this, right? And I would say there are teams that are still pretty consistent. You know, RRQ is not doing too poorly. We've seen teams like I think even for BTR, Aurora Gaming, they've had some good games so far. Even though they didn't end with a booyah, but they were able to get pretty far before they got knocked out with decent number of eliminations. So today so far has been defying expectations. The powerhouses team that we thought are going to be in top 3 are nowhere in top 3.
For now. Okay,
For
we still
now.
got 3 more games.
Yep.
Okay, so anything goes. We've seen teams just decide, like, okay, for the last 2 games, we're just going to go all out. And, you know, sometimes it does kind of work into their favor. But I do believe we are looking at a bit of a point creep, especially with our top performing teams today compared to our underperformers. So, you know, we'll have to see if that point gap is going to be big enough, because I think we all want to see the bigger picture, right? We want to see how big is the point gap between our top teams and our lower end teams, and what is still technically a attainable goal, right? Like, how many points would you want to be aiming for the last 3 games to, in a way, say, guarantee you in top 2? Because that's, again, that is the goal for today's matches. You want to get top 2 because you want to be pulled out and put into the lineup for grand finals.
Yep.
So if you can do that as quick as possible, great, because then you just be watching the rest of the games up until that grand final weekend. But at the moment though, Husky, could we confidently say we don't really have a leader that is running away with any of these slots? I feel like it is still very much in the open for anybody.
I agree. I think, you know, with the diverse cast of teams who have gotten the booyah and, you know, fluctuating from 1st to 6th place, it's still anyone's game. I think it's still anyone's game. I would be happy if some of the weaker teams, you know, make it to finals, because it does seem that way, right? Like the heavy hitters so far has been not really finding much cigar in their first half of today, but if they just hit a good game in the next 3 games, they can still recover from that. And that's the beauty of Free Fire. Eliminations, you get enough of them, they're going to bring you back from the dead. So I wouldn't count it out just yet, but things are really looking good for some of our teams who have been struggling in Phase 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think elimination points is, as you said, is the go-to right now. You get those elimination points, it is going to push you so high up on that leaderboard. But we will wait for our admins to do the calculations, because I do think we want to know, like, what's the goal here for some of these teams? Like, who is in a position where they want to just simply maintain? Who's in a position where they're playing catch-up? There are, namely, a few teams that are in catch-up mode. Most notably Falcons, because I am 100% certain after that round they are still in 12th place. They didn't really get many placement points. I don't believe they got many eliminations either. And they started that round with 5 points.
Yeah.
So 3 games in, maybe barely breaking into double digits. Yeah, Falcons, I don't even know if top 2 is even possible for this team anymore, even if they have like 3 monster rounds back to back.
There's a good chance that today is not the day for Falcons, but certainly it looks like it might become the day of Heavy, who hit and who basically got quite a good round, right? The MVP being Sitwan with 6 eliminations, and that's pretty much it. Not the most elimination counts, but still able to rake in that win, which is an extra 12 points for the for placement wise. A buy from RQ and a lift from Argon and Y. They each have 5 elims. Sci-Fi and Barros basically completes the list with 4 and 3 respectively. And I would say, you know, if the teams are really racing to kind of get as much points as possible, it actually gets harder and harder the later the round goes. Especially like recently I also joined a competition, and when time becomes a factor and you're short on time, the nerves is going to be the biggest determining factor whether you make it or not. And you know, I think most of our teams have enough experience to brush that off. But I have to quickly say that not many people use Zane now in Battle Royale. Alan is one of the few, because a lot of times you want a bit of extra utility. Zane basically reinforces your front line, and you pair it up with Oscar and Chrono. It's somewhat like it's like a Clash Squad comp. Heavy hitting front line, great survivability, and a touch of support with the Skylar.
Yeah, and I guess it also reinforced that late game for Heavy, right? Because when you're moving, when you have so little space, that's really where Heavy wants to be fighting it. They want to be fighting together as a unit, CQC, capitalize on all of their actives to synergize with one another. So yeah, this is just a team that maximizes their assets as a team, which is what you want to be seeing, especially for your teams that are grabbing those booyahs and points. But here we go, our standings for match number 3. So Heavy is going to be ending the day with 13 eliminations and 12 points, meaning that they just picked up 25 points from that round. So you add that to their 15 from their overall scoreboard before this match even happened, and all of a sudden this team, they're gone to 40 points if my math is mathing, which is huge. That's a big jump for Heavy.
Incredibly big, and that's sort of also what helped them in the standings as well towards the end of phase 1. Didn't do too much of a difference because as long as you're in top 12, you're going to be playing today anyways. But still, a good sign for this team that feels like it's on the up and coming, at least for the spring season. We know that they have some veterans in the squad as well. But I do want to see, the overall standing and just to get a good idea on who's leading the pack and how close is the fight to get into top 2. Because I think overall, you make it to top 2. Aurora is one of them, followed by BTR.
Aurora, of all the teams, is leading. Aurora.
We just say they have been consistent.
They have been
in the first 3 games, and that Booyah in game 2 helped them out big time. I would say, game 3 is probably their worst game, arguably, but even then, they were able to break up enough points and a good balance between eliminations and placement as well. Obviously, the race is not over yet by a long shot. Plenty of teams can still catch up within 1 round, and that I think extends all the way to Oregon MY.
I was going to say, yeah, the cutoff looks like 8th place. So Argon MY can still maybe slip into 2nd place or 1st place. But you got to have some really great rounds for your last 3 games, right? You got to pick up those points. You got to grab those eliminations. And if they can, they would ideally want to grab a Booyah in case we do run into a potential tiebreaker, because we're seeing a few tiebreakers today. So we won't have to see that tiebreaker rule kick in for some of these teams. But for Onyx, for Twisted Minds, WAG, and especially for Falcons, it just seems like top 2 might be unattainable, and they're just going to have to think about what to do going into tomorrow's games. Maybe for the rest of today, if the team really feels it's hopeless, spend the rest of the today studying the field. Study the field, figure out where everyone is dropping, and I think if you want to try an experiment, I would say try an experiment with a hot drop. Experiment with a hot drop against a team that you think you might be able to beat, and if you can, nail down that practice. Okay, because top 2 is the goal for today. If you can't get it, you need to be very mindful of the remaining time you have for today's game. So yeah, we still have 3 more games to go. Kalahari is up next, but from 8 onwards, the competition is still very much on. The race is still on. It's now going to come down to consistency. Who will consistently not only pick up those points, but maintain their performance for the rest of the day?
And I think, some of these teams, even if they aren't going to make it today, you have to remember the competitors are still watching the game. They might not be playing today, but
it's now going to come down to
consistency to get ready for their own matches. And we did say that tomorrow we'll add 2 teams in, and it will be GOW and Shadow Esports, and that will be the same for Sunday as well, before the final 2 teams come in towards the end of phase 2. So there's definitely layers to this, and pros and cons depending on how you look at it. I personally like it when I'm already in the top 12 to get the most play days possible, but there are certain teams who are just better at breaking down their opponents, and it could be one of the 6 teams who are waiting for their turn to play.
Yeah. Now it looks like we are ready for an interview with Aurora. So before we head on over to our quick break, let's see what Aurora have to say after doing fantastic today. 48 points, 1st place. They're probably feeling like they are at the top of the world.
Yep.
So,
with that being said, we're going to send it over to the studio and have our Malaysian colleagues talk to Aurora Gaming about that win just now. Fellas, take it away.
Hello guys, welcome to Malaysia. And right now we can see what a good gameplay by Team Aurora before. And right now with me right here, of course, Excel. Alright, jadi tahniah untuk Excel.
Okay, terima kasih.
Cantik sekali corakmu mainan tadi kan. Jadi kita nak tanya sedikit lah untuk Excel. Apa perasaan lah setelah dapatkan 2 Booyah dan dapatkan Booyah di game yang kedua tadi, dan berjaya dapatkan tempat yang pertama setelah keseluruhan?
Kalau perasaan saya sangat happy, dan saya rasa macam masih kurang sebab kita orang masih ada 3 game, dan insyaAllah kita orang dapat konsisten dan mendapatkan tiket untuk pergi ke Vietnam.
Itu betul-betul target betul
Betul.
Alright, so for Excel, he's saying that they already doing their good, but they still didn't satisfied with the result. they're gonna do more until they get the ticket to Vietnam. Alright, for our second question, as for now, Aurora has been more solid if we compare to Vamos before. So what's changed actually? Jadi sebelum ni kita dah tengok kan, untuk pasukan Aurora sebelum ni bermain dengan baik juga di Vamos, tapi dengan membawa nama Aurora sekarang ni lagi baik. Jadi apa perubahan yang dilakukan sebenarnya?
Perubahan yang dilakukan tak ada apa sebenarnya, tapi cuma sebab bawa nama Aurora, dia nampak macam besar, dia macam lebih yakin lah untuk menghadapi semua tim.
So they are really confident actually using their new name. So Aurora has been a very big name for the community. We know Aurora is a very big name in the esport community as well. So they are doing very good because they want to show something for the names. Alright. So our third game. So far the momentum has been tremendous for both team actually. So especially Aurora. So we want to know what will Aurora do to consistent this momentum. Jadi untuk kedua-dua pasukan sekarang Malaysia boleh dikatakan sangat-sangat baik. Jadi kemungkinan apa strategi-strategi untuk kekalkan momentum yang sama ni?
Kalau bab strategi, kita orang akan lebih apa orang kata, lebih baiki dan cuba untuk dapatkan buyah, and insyaAllah dapatkan kill yang banyak. Kalau tak dapat buyah, kill banyak, kill boleh apa orang kata, boleh samakan lah,
samakan level lah. Okay, so what they are saying is they are gonna try to get as much buyah as possible, but if they cannot get the buyah, they will try to get as many kills as possible. Alright, so there you go everyone, Aurora. Alright, one of the Malaysian team that is playing in our phase 2, and they are currently at number 1. So for now, let's take a break and come back for more free fire action. So let's unleash the fire.
Oi! それスノボじゃなくて人体だから。それにこれってケツでブレーキかけるやつだし、吉原大炎上の次は異世界大炎上なんてシャレになりませんから。バカ、これぐらい犠牲を払ってこそコラボに対しての俺たちの気合が伝わるってもんだろ。
金ちゃんの言う通りある。コラボのためなら尻の一つや二つ差し出して当然ね。
ゲームは終わりだ。え、皆さん、それって銃？いけるぞ、カグラ。開発チームから聞かされてねえよ。
しつこい男は嫌いやろ。
アームストロング最高です。アームストロング、なんでこんなとこにまで。話してやってくんねえか、サダール。そいつは新橋じゃねえんだ。僕なら噛まれてもいいってことですか。ケリーさん、本当にごめんなさい。さて、行き先は？
ピーク。
って、もしかして僕またメガネだけになってない？
No other region represented, with 4 Thai teams: Team Falcons, AG Global, Buriram United Esports, and Twisted Minds taking control.
มีความในใจอยากจะบอกบุรีรัมย์ครับอยากยิงหัวโจนะจัดเลยรอบเนี้ย
However, it's not only the top contenders. Avita, a newcomer with the makings of a dark horse. They didn't come here just to survive, but to prove themselves among the elite.
เพราะว่าเพิ่งได้ขึ้นมาเนี่ยครับแต่ก็อย่าประมาทพวกผมครับพวกผมเอาจริงครับ
And when Thailand turn it on, anyone in their path can become the next to be wiped out of the top 12.
คิดว่าทีมที่จะตกรอบน่าจะเป็นทีมออร่าครับเพราะแบบเป็นน้องใหม่ยังไม่รู้ฝีมือ ขอให้เป็น RQ แล้วนะครับขอให้เขาแบบว่าไปก่อนเลยจะได้เล่นง่ายๆ
Indonesia had a forgettable week, with giants like RRQ and EVOS looking unusually quiet.
Karena kurang adaptasi aja sih, sama ya kurang berpengalaman dari player-player lainnya.
Ya kurang introspeksi diri sendiri aja lagi.
Is it a slow start, or are they waiting for the right moment to break through?
Kalau top 1 nanti kebaca gameplaynya.
On the road to the top 12, Vietnam remains a difficult opponent, consistently applying pressure on the Indonesian representatives.
Buat tim Vietnam mau lolos apa nggak lolos ya mending lu nggak usah lolos soalnya kan lu main di negara lu sendiri ya. Jadi saran gua mending lu nonton aja.
Vietnam, a region that exploded in the early stages.
Cái lớp này chắc là lớp mạnh nhất của Gao từ trước này.
Gao có khả năng tầm 60% để vô địch giải C năm nay.
Amid such intense competition, can they find the strength to bounce back?
Việc team em trùng khu khá nhiều nên cái lượng điểm thu thập được không đủ để vào top 12.
Even so, for the Vietnamese representatives, missing out on the top 12 remains unthinkable.
Cái đó thì em không nghĩ tới, bởi vì line-up mùa này em khá là tự tin.
Động lực của em đến từ sự thất bại của mùa giải trước. Đó là một khoảng thời gian tồi tệ và rất dài đối với em, nên là mùa giải năm nay em phải cố gắng.
Vietnam's goal is not just to stay in the race, but to push as many opponents out of it as possible. While other regions are battling for every top 12 spot, no one seems to notice that Malaysia is closing in. Aurora and Anyone Can Dream move like silent assassins, waiting for the fight and striking at the perfect moment.
Target kita orang nak lepas ke Vietnam lagi supaya dapat rasa macam dulu. Kita orang dah training lama, maybe tengok kita orang layak untuk pergi final 8 lah macam tu lah. Top 8 lah.
The race for the top 12 is nearing its end. Who will be left behind? Tune in to week 2 to find out.
Ate said the moon and the sun aren't rivals. I still believe in that.
Garena. Week 1 came to an end, and the battlefield of FFWSC 2026 Spring had begun to take shape. Thailand rose to dominate the standings, claiming the entire top 4. 2 Team of the Day titles belong to Twisted Minds and Team Falcons. Team Falcons charge forward like a machine.
Friday night continues with Week 3, Day 1, or as we call it, Phase 2 of the Free Fire World Series Southeast Asia Spring Season. 3 rounds have elapsed in the Friday night. We have 3 more to come, and by the end of this evening, 2 teams will book their direct flight to Vietnam for the Grand Finals. My name is Husky, and I'm joined by Dana Lee to continue bringing you guys some of the most action-packed games we have. And so far, they have been delivering. The top teams are not at the top, and the teams who have been struggling in Phase 1s are currently leading the pack.
Yeah, so it's been pretty interesting seeing everything unfold in our first playday for our Phase 2 games because everyone knows what's really at stake. What's at stake is that top 2 position where if you're able to stay in top 2 for the rest of the day, then you get your spot locked in for Grand Finals, right? You're basically being locked in, you don't have to worry about your placement anymore. And that means other teams are going to come in to fill your spot and everyone else is going to continue to battle for those positions. Now, the earlier you get that spot, in theory, it's good because at least you get out of the potential place of being eliminated if you have a bad day, for example, if you have a bad week, essentially, because that's what's really happening here. So what's being rewarded are teams that are able to perform on this particular week, right? If you're able to end up in top 2 at the end of the day, then you get rewarded with the grand final spot. It's not a case of like just being a team that is reasonably consistent. You need to be exceptionally consistent if you want to have top 2. And for today in particular, it's really been a battle between Aurora, Bigatron, AG Global, and we've just started to see Heavy come into the picture. Heavy had been pretty absent towards the top of the bracket up until that last round where they were able to grab that booyah, and that shot them from, I believe, like 8th or 9th place to 4th. So they are within arm's reach of potentially swiping away 1st and 2nd from Aurora and Bigatron. It's just they need to have 1 or 2 more exceptional rounds, and then they need to have a reasonable round, or if they can somehow do it, they need to be the ones to shut down Aurora, Bigatron, and AG in these next up-and-coming rounds. Now, the possibility of that happening, Husky, I think is questionable because our next map is going to probably determine the fate for some of our teams. It's Kalahari. It's a very, very specialized map. We do have a couple of teams in the lobby that are Kalahari specialists, and generally speaking, they can farm the lobby if they have a pretty good run. Speaking of our teams towards the top, I don't know if you have any knowledge of Aurora, Husky, but as far as I understand for this team, Kalahari is not really a map that they're going to excel at. So is this maybe going to hurt Aurora in the long run? Possibly, because if they possibly bomb out in Kalahari, yes, they still have 2 more maps to go. If they're very unlucky, map number 6 is going to be Kalahari again, and that might come back and really bite them. Or it could be a favorable map, who knows? But we know Bigatron, okay, the Indonesians, generally speaking, do great on Kalahari. But if we want to talk about the heavy hitters for this map, typically it's RRQ, it's Falcons. I guess Buriram does pretty well on Kalahari as well, and AG generally does really good on Kalahari. So you kind of need to keep an eye out for these teams on Kalahari because they would, in theory, be the lobby farmers. But considering some of the stuff that we've seen today, who knows, honestly.
I think, you know, Aurora, they did mention in the early interview that obviously they will try to get as much booyahs as they can. If not, they will try to make it up with elimination. But I think they also, you know, mentioned an important point, at least Axel did, which is, you know, prior to that he was with Vamos and now Aurora Gaming. I think to a certain degree, the prestige of the team does carry some weight, and maybe that is also a source of motivation for them to perform better. And if it is, so be it. I'm all up for it, right? I want to see Malaysia back, not just in the regional finals, but on that world stage, because we missed out on the world stage at this point. I think about to be 3 years if it keeps continuing. But they gotta get through this first. Kalahari will be the test for Aurora Gaming to see if that long break has dampened their momentum in any way.
Yeah, they just got to keep it up, right? Like, they've been looking really great for today. They just got to keep it up. And I think Kalahari might be their biggest challenge yet. Pretty neutral flight path here, Husky, going from top to bottom. So it's not going to be too bad unless we maybe start seeing some of these teams compete for those drop zones. Now, at the moment, we are seeing Onyx and AG kind of flying in the same direction. So it looks like we're going to be seeing our first skirmish over there. In the meantime, though, we also have Falcons dropping in pretty close to Aurora. Now, this is where I'm kind of questioning whose decision is this? Is this Falcons or Aurora's call?
I have a feeling it's probably Falcon's call, or maybe they just happen to share the same spot, which I think they do. Only let's get the first Illim there. Instant revive onto Nameless. I think was lost, but knowing AG, they might
Not yet.
just restart the whole fight here. And Oculus just to spot out something further location away to see if anyone from Onyx is taking those long range shots. But so far, lucky for them, no, Onyx are basically within close proximity.
It might just have to be a case of spray and pray here for Cypher because he is on the front lines. He has Butcher right on his tail. Did go for a couple of shots. Nothing lethal yet though, but his team is not looking too great there. Barros is the first one to hit the ground as he got swarmed by Onyx players, and now Dew running for his own life as well. Looks like they won't be able to pursue him in the meantime, but the rest of the players though, Cypher is there going in for a fight there against Zyro. He's going to lose that fight unfortunately, but Dew and Cypher going to go down.
Cypher didn't even finish the first dude. What? That was so odd. Maybe he thought he had it, but unfortunately, there's the Cassie electrotherapy that topped up his target just enough to survive. That was a very rare misplay from AG because that could have gone a lot better. But the good news is that at least they're out of the waters and they are able to go for the revive again. But Falcons against Aurora, it's going to be immediately a tough test for Aurora.
This looks like a big commitment too because they've committed to have somebody on that rooftop. They want to have that vision. So Aurora, I hope they have a plan for this to deal with On Fire on the rooftop. And oh, Zeus is going to be the first one to be picked off thanks to Pina. They do go for the instant pickup though. So Aurora is ready to go. Pina though going to be the next one to hit the ground thanks to the Axel. Beautiful sniping there from the rooftop though. Limit's trying to do best he can. Aurora going to try and zoom on out of there with Axel in the monster truck. On Fire hits the ground, but they catch the Axel.
A Limit finally tracks him down because if the Axel got out, that could have turned the whole game around. But still, Suez, what a response there! A flick onto Limit. Suez should be able to bring Jun back up, and that means that Aurora Gaming essentially won that skirmish with more members left alive. What was that? Zom stood no chance around the corner, and Bigatron basically cruising through that fight. Unfortunately for Flash, they're a bit crippled. Falcons as well on the run. Man, Aurora Gaming, this is a pretty good start for them.
Not just Aurora, but also the fact that Bigatron are also picking up points as well. Our lobby leaders are really leading based off of this alone. Tiku though going to be caught, unfortunately, clipped by Dew, and because it's on the high ground, there's no one nearby that will be able to pick him up. And you can see Dew looking to go in for that finishing blow. We do have reinforcements coming in, but they're too far away from Tikoi. They can maybe try and go for that commitment onto Dew, just go for that one elimination, pick up that point for themselves, because, yeah, it's just Dew up there actually going to be getting himself onto that satellite dish. So he's going to have to make WAG fight for this. In the meantime, though, PLS1 going to be taken off on the other side of the map thanks to Barros, and Hong Am also getting caught. This is just none. Hello, WAG. What a horrible start.
I don't think there's much space for them to go and get a revive too. There is a vending machine, but I think it's on the lower floor. Even to get there, might have to go to Dew, who is guarding one area. They did bring Hong back, so at least they're not alone. Heavy onto Aurora. This is gonna be Ty. Aurora gets out, and now Heavy left to deal with Falcons.
And Falcons, I do believe they're still recovering. They're not in a position where they want to try and fight a team head on. So if Heavy tries to push the issue, this might mean trouble for Falcons themselves. Twisted Minds in the meantime, though, going to be able to grab a point from Flash. We do get another revive, but again, this is slowing down Flash's progress because they were also cut down by Bigatron earlier in the round. So recovery time has been extended, unfortunately, for Flash. Looks like RRQ to get in a bit of danger themselves, do go for the double team revive. So RRQ not looking too happy themselves this round. On Fire though, would have to be worried about Don't Cry. Looks like he is in a pretty safe spot unless he sticks his head out. Looks like just at the wrong time, Don't Cry decides to exit the aim. So they're going to be all right for now.
Heavy also saying a prayer too that Falcons decided to disengage from there, because I think Falcons also were not really in the best spot to take on any fights for now.
Yeah, they're not in the best position. I think, like, if you look at the economy, if we saw their inventory, I think this is a case of just, no, this would have been a premature fight for them. Uh-oh.
Could get worse.
Husky. Yeah, but Exposy definitely 2 versus 1. They go right into the watchtower, and Exposy had no chance.
Nope, not at all. Twisted Minds. Seriously, they want to commit onto this. Diamond actually shows up. Oh, wow, good stuff from Diamond there. Him and the Bars now tag teaming up. There might actually be an opportunity to end this. They do see Zyro and Adam. The electrotherapy is connected. It seems like Twisted Minds are going to double down on the aggression. The Bars holding the high ground. They do see the tether there. Ice grenade being thrown out. They're trying to push the Bars, and now the Bars need to relocate and just buy enough time to isolate these fighters. What a valiant dash. Adam almost falls victim to that, and Putra unfortunately not able to punish the Bars, and now the Bars takes on the challenge. Putra wins that one and was able to stave off jump as well. Diamond here to reinforce and able to get the damage in. It's Diamond with 2, and Zyro also drops. Twisted Minds wins that.
They barely were able to win that. It looked like it might have been Onyx to be able to come out on top, but they pick up 3 eliminations. That puts them up to 5 points in the round. So Twisted Minds working slowly towards their recovery.